Today we're celebrating the next big step. Next big step in a partnership, in a journey, as the Chancellor and I were discussing this journey that has taken the University of Houston to some heights that maybe some years ago people might not have thought were within reach, but as every day goes by, it becomes more and more apparent to folks that this institution is headed to the forefront of not only higher education in the state of Texas, but particularly on the commercialization of technology forefront. And the horizon, I happen to think it's limitless. Obviously, Dr. Gustafson, who is quite a presence in and of himself, just to meet him and to make his acquaintance. I want to say thank you for making the right choice, sir. You will never be you will never be embarrassed that you chose the Lone Star State to continue your research. And a little less than a year ago, we were in Stockholm at the Karolinska Institute, where he has done some of his work discussing with them this exact opportunity with our cancer institute, our cancer initiative, and we're starting to see some of the very constructive things come out of those meetings, and reaching out and letting people know what we have here in the state of Texas. For the students that are here today, I'm so glad that you were able to come and participate, because you're seeing history made. You're seeing a very powerful piece of history being struck in this state. And just for a little history lesson, particularly because we're talking about an individual who is from Sweden. Over a century ago, there were a substantial number of Swedish immigrants that came to Texas, and they had a very important role in building our state. And their legacy still lives on in towns by the name of Lund, New Sweden, Swindonia. As a matter of fact, in my home county of Haskell, there was a ranch called the SMS, SM Swenson. And that was the businessman who paid for Swedish immigrants to come, paid for their travel in exchange for a year's hard work. We're going to live up to that, sir. So, and I'm not even worried about the hard work that's going to come out of this man's fertile mind, out of his hands, and out of those that are coming, that he lures to the University of Houston because of his reputation and the work that he's doing. We still expect that same type of relationship, but I think we're making you a little more civilized invitation, Dr. Gustafson, so as the result of our Emerging Technology Fund. His presence today represents a milestone moment in our history, as I shared with you, and of the school. It's a very important indicator of our state's success in creating a culture of innovation. Here in Texas, we're blessed with some wonderful universities, a strong population of bright and talented researchers. Their ideas traditionally gather dust on shelves, unfortunately. Too often it did. No obvious path to impact people's lives in a positive way. And we're working to change that with this Emerging Technology Fund. The approach we take with the fund is different from what you might expect from government. It's not about a giveaway. It's using incentives, investment that lead to innovation. Here in Texas, we don't just commission studies to learn fascinating information, but we're about finding marketable technologies, fueling those innovations, refinement, if you will, starting ventures that turn a profit. You might say that the old academic motto of publish or perish is being replaced by patent or perish. Today's announcement is the latest example of our efforts to find great ideas born in those university laboratories, invest in them to generate products that can ultimately create jobs, turn a profit, keep our state's economy going, and that's not to even mention the powerful impact that he is going to have on maybe you, or your children, or your children's children, from the standpoint of finding a cure for breast cancer, prostate cancer, that impacts so many of our lives. These partnerships also benefit the universities. I would argue that our Emerging Technology Fund is the mechanism for enhancing a school's magnetism for investment and innovation. Dr. Cutter and I were having that exact conversation earlier this afternoon. We know there's a lot of talk about Tier 1 institution. How do you get to be a Tier 1 institution? And higher education is essential to the continued growth of our state, the reputation of our state, the success of our state, and I will say the success of our citizens. However, those conversations on how we attain the Tier 1 institutions that we need and deserve in this state includes approaches like the one we're discussing today. It's a journey to get to be a Tier 1 institution. The University of Houston has taken a large step in that direction today to be a Tier 1 institution. Those conversations have to have action. Actions that ultimately will yield better benefits in the terms of funding, innovation, life-changing outcomes. And it's, I think, because the accountability and the ownership that is at the heart of this Emerging Technology Fund that makes that possible. It's part of the Texas mindset and the things that breed success in every area of endeavor, the kind of success that's increasingly rare in the world during these tough economic times. Despite global economic concerns that are striking fear into the hearts of investors and business owners and families, Texas is actually doing comparatively well, because we made the conscientious decision back in 2003 to hold down our spending and cut taxes and create a more predictable regulatory climate. Our state's better prepared than most to handle this current crisis. Add that the strategic value of the investment programs that we have, like the Emerging Technology Fund and the Enterprise Fund, then you begin to see why there are more Fortune 500 companies call Texas home than any other state now. Why last year, 70% of all the jobs created in America were created in Texas. And I might add, the vast majority of those were in the private sector. In these tough times, we need to continue to invest wisely in opportunities that will strengthen our state and create jobs in our state, and that is why I have asked the legislature to continue funding the Emerging Technology Fund. It's announcements like these today that I think show the people that these are dollars that are used wisely, that will multiply many-fold and create an environment in the state. You know, a lot of companies are driven away from other states because of the heaps of taxes that get put on them, the burdens of the regulatory climate on their heads, and I believe that those companies will continue to seek out Texas. When they get here, they're going to find a bias for relative research and a culture of innovation that rewards the best and the brightest. Human capital is the key consideration of the Emerging Technology Fund. We're always on the outlook for subject matter experts that will propel us to the front of the pack. The Emerging Technology Fund makes it worth their while to choose Texas because it gives them the resources that they need to succeed. And we're certainly doing that with this $5.5 million investment, which has been made possible to welcome the subject matter expert in this field to Texas. Nobody in the world is better at this research than the man who is standing with me on this stage. This is a powerful moment for the University of Houston, for the state of Texas, and Dr. Gustafson, I want to say welcome to Texas. Thank you for being here, and we're excited to have your expertise.